How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new Czinger 21C from a first-person point of view. At the heart of the 21C is a 2.88-liter twin-turbocharged V8 that on its own makes 750 horsepower. Then there's two electric motors, one on each of the front wheels for an additional 500 horsepower, totaling 1,250. It also revs up to a ridiculous 11,000 RPM, can sprint from 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. Now in VMAX form, it can hit a top speed of 253 miles an hour. As this is the high downforce 21C, it's got an enormous rear wing, front splitter, providing a 3.5 to 1 lift to drag ratio and a total of 4,400 pounds of downforce at 190 miles an hour. Inside the 21C now, and I have never experienced a road car with a cabin quite like this. People describe hypercars and supercars as having a cockpit-like vibe. No other road car has a cockpit quite like this one. We've got an awesome rectangular, circular style steering wheel with a 7-speed single clutch automated manual with paddles mounted behind. It uses the third electric motor mounted to the transmission to use torque fill in order to make this a little bit more palatable on those semi-throttle shifts. Normally with the single clutch, it can get a little bit jerky like an Aventador. The result is a car designed and manufactured right here in Los Angeles. They're making 80 total. There's no set number between the VMAX model and the 21C, basically what demand will ask for, starting at $2.35 million. Both the VMAX and the 21C high downforce start at the exact same price. So you're not paying more for the larger wing or the higher top speed, which is pretty cool. But the real sauce, the real magic of the 21C is due to the sister company Divergent. Divergent has come up with a very innovative manufacturing process called additive manufacturing. Instead of traditionally taking a large piece of aluminum and using something like a CNC machine or a laser cutter to reduce material, Divergent actually uses additive manufacturing using a special powder to build the components from the ground up. The result is these organic-looking components that are perfectly optimized. So their advanced algorithms take the different hard points and the load requirements and create hundreds of thousands of iterations of each of the part and produce something that's as optimized as possible for weight and strength. The entire underside of the car and the chassis is made up of these insane 3D printed parts. I'll show a little overlay here because it is truly a work of art. One of the most unique elements of the Czinger 21C is, of course, its driver cockpit. Looks like something straight out of a fighter jet. In fact, it was actually styled after the SR-71 Blackbird, taking some inspiration from Ultimate fighter jets. It allows for better aerodynamics, lesser weight, but it also creates an insane looking car. We've got the driver compartment up here, and the passenger actually sits directly behind. In case you're wondering, here is what it looks like as a passenger in the 21C. You actually have a fair amount of leg room. Your legs go to the left and to the right of the driver. Plenty of headroom. You've got this really cool sunroof above you. And if you peek around, look how awesome that steering wheel is. To fire the car up, there is a start-stop button located right there and different driving modes to choose from. There is a street mode that prioritizes the electric powertrain, a sport mode, and a track mode. We'll talk a little bit more about those when we get out on the road. We also have little vents for the climate control built into the doors themselves, which is pretty darn cool. All right, let's take this thing for a spin. I am so excited. To put it into drive, pull the right paddle on the sequential gearbox. Now, because we are in street mode, we're actually in an all-electric mode. It prioritizes the EV powertrain under 60 miles an hour, and if it decides you need the internal combustion engine, it'll kick on. We also have a very easy-to-use front lift button right there on the stock. And what I'm really impressed with about this car is how easy it is to drive as a normal vehicle, and also how ridiculous of a cockpit and a view out of the front. I have actually never experienced a road car quite like this. As you can hear, the engines are kicking on a little bit to recharge that battery. Now let's put it in some more fun modes, shall we? Click this mode button to put us into sport mode, and then we click the flag button. That'll put us into track mode. And then to put us into manual mode, you pull one of the paddles, and then it'll stay in manual mode until you press and hold the upshift paddle for the rest of the drive. Well, the engine's been warmed up after a long drive from the factory. Let's see what this thing's got. 1,250 horsepower, and the instant response of the electric powertrain is no joke. Oh my gosh. And whereas the around town shifts are super easy, like 10% throttle, I pulled an upshift, and in an Aventador, you would just be smashing back and forth, and it's really fun. The Aventador is really fun at full throttle shifts, but not so fun around town. Somehow Czinger is able to do both at the same time with that torque fill, which is a truly magical feat of engineering. The gearbox is razor sharp. Normally, single clutches have the advantage of being really lightweight, fast shifting, but the usability isn't that great. Driving a car like an SSC Tuatara, the refinement of the single clutch X-Track just wasn't there. Same with the Tramontana R, which just felt like more of a kit car, but this comes together so seamlessly. It's actually really, really impressive. Steering is incredibly responsive. The second you put any input whatsoever into the steering, it starts turning. And one of my favorite, I mean, that was 5th gear at lower RPM. One of my favorite parts of supercars and hypercars are vehicles that are fun to drive even at low speeds. And even just coming around, driving PCH up to where we are in the canyons now, this thing was still an absolute blast. I mean, I'm not pushing it even remotely 30% of its capabilities, and I'm still having a bunch of fun in here. It feels raw, it feels rewarding, it feels engaging. And then when you floor it, I mean, it's actually outrageous, the level of acceleration. And I'm not even getting close to redline yet. It takes a little bit to adapt to the fact that it can rev to 11,000 RPM. I just recently drove another car with 1,250 horsepower a few days ago, and that was the ZR1X. But because of additive manufacturing, this thing is on the order of 500 pounds lighter than the ZR1X. Obviously a completely different beast. But what I like about this car is it feels like it has 1,250 horsepower. The ZR1X, they almost refined it to the point where it was so approachable, it loses that magic. This is approachable and terrifying at the same time, which is a pretty hard thing to accomplish. As is good brake feel. In a hybrid vehicle, getting that initial point of the brake to not feel super odd and unnatural is really, really hard. Meshing that brake regeneration with the engine braking, but the brake feels really natural. Oh my gosh. And with that all-wheel drive, you got permanent all-wheel drive in track mode. It really does hook. What a machine. So now that we've come up on some traffic here, let's go ahead and shift the driving mode. Now we are in sport mode. And now we are in street mode. Steering still feels pretty heavy. The suspension is actually very compliant in this mode, surprisingly so for a hypercar. Normally, my favorite types of cars kind of bang you around and rattle your spine, because that makes it more fun when you're pushing the limits. But this has this duality to it where in this mode, it actually absorbs bumps incredibly well. And then when you put it into track mode, it firms up to an extreme degree, has limited body roll, and is incredibly capable on the track. They did something that was truly remarkable recently, and that was do a 1,000-mile road trip over 5 consecutive days. And this is the important part. It wasn't just 5 different sessions at different tracks. This was 5 days in a row. So they arrived at Laguna Seca, set a record, moved on to the next track, set a record, etc., etc. Imagine how fast they could go if they had more than a day or a half a day at each track. And they reset the records for Laguna Seca, Sonoma Raceway, even Circuit of the Americas, to a degree that was very unexpected. And I'll be honest, prior to all those records, I saw Czinger at Quail, and you know, it's obviously a very interesting, cool looking car, but I wasn't sure what to think of the company. But once they started setting the Goodwood Hill Climb record and all of these local tracks, it's clear they mean business. And then knowing that the sister company Divergent is manufacturing parts for the McLaren W1, the Bugatti Tourbillon, Aston Martin, and some other manufacturers as well. There's a very fancy manufacturer that has suspension components that look like they've got to be designed by this company, but we'll see in the future. It's just a really awesome company. All right, tunnel run. Holy moly. I can't get over how crazy the view out of the front windshield is. The steering wheel is nice and low, as is the instrument cluster, so your view is perfect. It's almost like you're sitting on the front wheels and can easily place the car out on the road. And the center driving position, you get used to it instantly. I've driven a couple center seat cars, BAC mono, Speedtail. I've been in a McLaren F1 in the side seating position. So I've experienced it before, but I think because this feels so small, like the cabin shrinks around you, it feels easier to place on the road than something like a Speedtail that kind of feels like a wider version of a McLaren 720S. And I love how big the wheel arches are. It just feels like sights of a rifle, just placing it exactly where you want on the road. You've got that awesome carbon fiber single windshield wiper right there, and even a small little sun visor. Might actually be helpful. The instrument cluster changes based on what driving mode you're in. So we're in track mode right now. If we put it into sport mode right here, you can see it changed a little bit. And then if you put it into street mode, it changes once again, prioritizing that electric powertrain. Let's go ahead and put it back into track mode by clicking that button right there. Now you can actually put it into track plus mode, which we're not going to do on the road. Reduces stability control. It drops the suspension ride height by 25 millimeters, so it's a significant drop downwards. It's about an inch. So on roads like this, out in the canyons, probably not the best idea, but that way you're going to get the maximum performance out of the aero and the suspension. And to think that this car was able to show up at a track like Laguna Seca and just set a record the first day it appeared is absolutely insane. I've reviewed a lot of cars over the years, and I'm trying to think of a comparison. What is similar to this that I've driven and I legitimately can't? I'm driving the same roads that I drive legitimately every day. We're on Canaan Road right now, and the whole experience is completely different. I feel like I'm driving Canaan for the first time. We're super low, and just the view out of the front windshield is so unique. Then the combination of the single clutch transmission that actually isn't jerky but still provides drama, the razor sharp steering, the crazy 11,000 RPM V8, I really can't think of anything that actually comes close to this driving experience. So certainly, if you own a bunch of other hypercars and want something unique to add to your collection, I really think this serves a purpose different than your traditional hypercars. You can get a V12 with the manual, you can get a 2,000 horsepower hypercar that does 60 to 130 in 2.8 seconds. But if you want something that's like legitimately nothing else on the road, looks insane, has the performance to back it up, and crazy enough, has the lap records to back it up, this is one heck of a machine. And honestly, before doing the research for this review, I thought Czinger was just a car company. And in doing research for this, I discovered Divergent, and it really, really changed my entire view of the brand. And this isn't just a marketing exercise for Divergent. It is its own car company. It's a standalone business. That's why they consider it to be a sister company and not, you know, the parent company of Czinger. But the way they're able to manufacture cars is something that might truly revolutionize the entire automotive industry. Hopefully, in the near future, they're going to have use cases for lower-end car models, but the fact that they're already in these major players like Bugatti and McLaren, who don't mess around about their launches, shows that their technology is absolutely insane. And I don't think we'll be too far off from seeing your typical cars start to be manufactured by additive manufacturing to save weight, to save cost, and to save having to recreate the tooling every single time you come out with a new product. So right now, let's say McLaren, they've got the 750S, but they've got to create new machinery to make the next generation McLaren. With additive manufacturing, they just insert the CAD files, or however they're doing it, into the machinery, and they can create an entirely new product without having to scrap all of the millions of dollars of machines, which is going to make a huge difference. It makes me wonder if hopefully someday I could actually start a car company and utilize some of these techniques. So let's pick up the pace a little bit now that we've got a little bit of clear room ahead of us. Another one of my familiar roads here, and it really does feel completely different. The brake does take a lot of force, and you do notice the only thing, and I'm not sure if this is possible to remedy, is when you are full on the gas, you can feel almost a teeny bit of torque steer from the electric motors. It kind of pulls the car. That's actually part of the fun. But that's the only thing I would probably change on the entire car, if there was a way to make it a little bit less sensitive to the front motors. It's loud in here, and in a good way. Cars are getting way too refined. I love the fact that you just hear everything. Speaking of hearing everything, let's actually put down the windows. And there's only 2 giant windows in the entire car because we only have one door on each side that's over 6 feet long. Who would have thought we'd have a hypercar with a 6-foot long door? Another one of my favorite things is just hearing rocks pinging against the carbon fiber chassis, so you know you're in a straight up race car for the road. Not too much isolation from the outside world. But normally in a single clutch transmission, coming to a stop sign feels like an event. Just kind of crawling around at low RPMs is a stressful experience, but in this, it's just super easy. It legitimately just feels like a normal car. It's honestly, you have to recalibrate your brain to shift at a higher RPM. I can just see the comments now, hey, you're only shifting at 7,000 or whatever. It gets there so fast and it accelerates so quickly, it feels like you're nearing redline, and then the car says, just kidding, we actually have 4,000 RPMs to go. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I wanted to leave you with uninterrupted Czinger 21C noises. No more talking. All right, guys. See you next video.